Frankie, Friday, though, we got to move right into your charts. This is something then that Team Tackle comes out each and every week to try to take a peek at what you're putting out there. By the way, if you're ever following Team Tackle on Twitter, at Tackle Trading, Coach Frank does run that Twitter account, puts a lot of these charts up throughout the week as they're developing and what he's seeing there. Frank, you're
Sure,
up, man. What do you got
certainly
first?
invite you to join us over there. Ooh, well, we already talked CE, which is definitely one I wanted to talk about.
Can we talk
let's
SC?
No, but I'll tell you what, I will talk CRM with you.
All right.
I'll
Oh,
throw
whoa,
CRM your
whoa,
way.
Hold on.
whoa, Frankie. There's some inside baseball going on right now. Tim is so happy somebody's finally willing to talk CRM and not make fun of him. Like, this is a moment.
Hey, I've been pulling for them for a long time, Tim. You know that. You know that. Even when they were looking pretty rocky, I was trying to put up the good fight to say, hey, listen, you might not want to buy them, but you don't have to
Frankie,
sell them.
I was there for your jokes.
Okay, well, listen, there might be a little revisionist history in here, but not all of it is revisionist history. But I mean, as a long-term holder that we all know Tim to be on CRM, you definitely have to be liking the way we have, came off of those lows after putting in that double bottom. After that initial double bottom breakout that happened back at, very, very end of March, we've really, unless you were just playing a momentum chaser, really have not had a lot of trade setup development. Would you agree with that, Tim?
Yeah, there's not really been trade setups.
Yeah,
I mean, you could have potentially very aggressively traded the W pattern or something, but I don't think it was there, to be honest. But there's not been a lot of trade setups for CRM for a bit.
Right. It's been it broke and it ran. Right. It broke and it ran. You basically had to kind of get in on that first day of that W break, or you've just been Tim, smiling quietly and being very happy about it. Well, with the development we've seen over this past week and a half here, putting in a little bit of a trading range, in some ways, obviously well behind, the S&P 500, but in some ways the same type of a, situation where we've taken that breather, we've put in a little bit of a consolidation here, Tim. I look at this and I see 250 as the next level of resistance, and I don't see anything on this chart that would scare me away from that. I can't see any reason from a pure technical point of view why CRM isn't going to 250, which leads me to think maybe playing a little breakout of this consolidation range could be something that I could look towards doing from a swing trader's perspective. I think we have a little bit of time here, about a month. You probably know better than I until earnings. Could I talk you, Tim, into talking me? Because I know you're already here, so you'll benefit from the breakout. Anyway, could you talk me into playing a little break, targeting into that 250 range?
It's a good question. There's a couple of questions I have for you, though. Being a CRM long-term investor, I'm a holder. Anybody out there who's watched the show long enough, you probably have heard me talk a little bit about CRM. I like the company. I love the business model. I love their revenue models, by the way. Topping 20 billion just last year for the first time. And I believe in Mark Benioff leadership. I really do believe in him. So I'm an owner of the stock. There's one thing I've been watching the stock for the last 6 months, Frank, and I want to get your read on this.
Okay.
Is this channel something that you care about?
Let me draw my own line, right? Because when it comes to channel lines, maybe mine's already broken. And I think that's the underlying issue when it comes to the channel line, right? A little bit of artistic license. I think that's fair. I do think that's a fair thing to evaluate there, Tim. I would counter your argument with, if we follow through on this break, because we're just right into that resistance here today, right? This might be it. I hope not for your sake, but it might be the end of the road. I would kind of counter that with, if we break through this resistance, we're also taking that out overall. Again, we can
That's a better line,
right? You can.
Your second line was a better line.
That's the thing with the trend lines. They're very helpful, right? But they are more zones.
They're guides,
right? Than the numbers, because mine probably would look a little different than Tim's. Even and his would look different than yours, right?
Can I say it like this? You like the consolidation as it played defense against the 200-day moving average. That's why you liked it. You like the breakout that is occurring today, and subjectively, you also like the fact that it's breaking out of your random arbitrary line you drew, which just supports your decision to buy in the first place. That's all that's happening.
Yeah.
Everything is done on that price, though. Everything else just is there to support your decision
Your
from
thesis.
an emotional perspective.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course, you can sign me up, Frank.
Yeah.
To answer your question
Appreciate it.
very simply, very
I
directly.
appreciate it. And the thing about CRM, is it wasn't all that long ago. They've had some recent struggles, but beyond that 250, they've got resistance all along the way into that 275, 280 range. So this could be the beginning of the working back towards that, right? Obviously, that's probably not one swing, and we'll take it one leg at a time. But I did think that was interesting, and I felt that this was the first time since the initial W break, which is pretty aggressive. Obviously, I wish I would have taken it,
Yeah,
but it's pretty aggressive. It's not going to be the type of trade everybody gets into on that. I always kind of look at hey, that's your first signal, and then the next trade setup is the one that's really interesting to me. These guys kind of just kept chopping through all the things I would have been looking for, right? No consolidation, no pullback off of the 50, blows right through the 200. And so I do like the consolidation here.
I think for most people, if CRM is your version of gold for me, you're nailing that double bottom and you're nailing that breakout the same way we nailed it on gold.
Correct.
But CRM's not that for me. Right. And so it's really the secondary type technical moves that we catch. And this is exactly that secondary technical move. So if you miss the double bottom breakout, this is what you've been waiting for. Yep. And so if you like CRM, you take the trade.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was interesting, and I'm pulling for him one way or another, Tim.
I'm pulling for him as well.
We
so no matter
it.
what you want to do, we're always cheering for you, Tim. All right, let's look at fast. We had a couple folks bringing it up in the chat, and definitely an interesting looking candidate here. We just broke out of a little bit of a cup and handle. I think probably technically, if we're getting super specific, maybe we broke out on Wednesday, but it would have depended on you, right? Some people would say Wednesday, Thursday, some people into today. Definitely like that price action movement on the breakout here on Fastenal. This probably becomes a momentum play to me, where coming in off of today's high and using probably the 9 along with the today's low, or that would be today's low, getting my stop loss a little bit below that 9 EMA and try to play this from a momentum point of view would probably be the way that I would be looking at it. But you got to love the break of resistance. Definitely a nice clean candle here today. I think I would want to compare them to some other folks in their area, right? Because
that's what we do.
Can't take them all, right? Yeah. And so that process would still have to be done. But I do like that we're coming out of a cup and handle on these guys, which was kind of off of the tails of a failed breakout, right? Going all the way back into January. I remember that one too, because I was around for that one as well. But yeah, Jonathan, Linda, this one is definitely an interesting candidate, I would say.
And let me add to this one as well, because when you're looking at the daily chart, I certainly agree with Frank that you're a little bit overextended. You do not have a clean technical setup on the daily chart on that breakout, and thus you probably do need to treat it momentum based, right? Momentum style swing trading. However, I look at this on a little bit of a longer time frame on that weekly chart, and you can really dial in that breakout there. And I got a little bit of a different read on that weekly chart. I think it's fairly clean on the weekly chart. You got some consolidation over the course of the last few months that you're breaking out of. I like the price level that it came from in the breakout, right south of $50. And so I do think you can momentum trade it from a swing trader's perspective. You got to like that price action you're seeing here on the breakout. But from a weekly perspective, I like this as a position as well. I think you do have multiple time frame analysis that support swing or position. It's really up to the eye of the beholder at this point, but you do got supporting evidence from a technical perspective.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely an interesting one. All right, let's do a few more. But yeah, I'm going to steal that one, Jonathan. Nice find there, my friend.
Good job, Jonathan.
Let's take a look at HPE, Tim, Hewlett-Packard Enterprises.
Okay, juggernaut recently. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about it. This thing doubled in the last 6 months. So
we had this on our stinking report for 3 straight weeks.
Yeah, for several weeks. Some finally breaking out here today, obviously breaking through that. We did break through yesterday on the intraday, weren't able to hold. But one thing that's really stood out is look at the accumulation on the volume over the last couple trading days, including the day before it even tried to break out. We've really had a lot of volume coming in the day before the breakout, then a good chunk of volume yesterday on the, sticking our nose above that resistance level, right? Getting those more aggressive traders in, looking like pretty clean, confirmation candle here today, if that's more in line with your rule set. One thing with these guys is I've been looking, kind of at 17 as kind of the next gravitational pull. If we can break that, just approximately 16. I know it was a little bit north of that, but resistance wise, I don't have resistance until closer to 1740, 1750. So I still think there's a little bit of window for us to work with here on HPE. Gotta love the volume and the people that are apparently jumping in for one reason or another, saying, yeah, let's front run this thing, let's rock and roll. Been on the reports, like Maddie said, for several weeks. I know they've been in. I've been watching these guys for a breakout since like the beginning of April, right when they're first up at the top there, and so nice to see a little bit of follow through here today. What you think, Maddie?
Yeah, it's been on our reports for 2-3 weeks now. It's just got such a clean breakout channel. It's fairly rare you see that type of cleanliness at your breakout. So it's obviously an interesting candidate, and you are confirming. You tested above yesterday, came right back down within the breakout channel. You're most likely going to confirm today. I think it's a pretty easy call here.
Yeah, that one's
great chart.
Pretty chalk, right?
Yeah.
Another one that's maybe a little. It's very interesting, but it's maybe a little tougher depending on you, is TJX, Tim.
Ooh, there's some retail names popping off.
Yeah, retail.
Today.
I mean, you've seen things like, AOS and things like that just going nuts lately. TJ, they used to be TJ Maxx, right? Now they're TJX. I still want to call them TJ Maxx. Working into a pretty clean level of resistance. Might be one of those, and I think probably speak a little bit for you, Maddie, where maybe a little consolidation and then a break would be more appealing to you than, say, breaking out on Monday, because we're not super extended, but we did, fire off, the last 3 days pretty nicely. But I do like where we are, just a nice, clean, several month consolidation period breakout candidate.
Frank knows me well. I don't like being the catching a trade on a breakout the 5th day of the breakout. You are right. I would like some consolidation going into that, but you gotta like the prolonged nature of that resistance channel at 70 and anything above 70. I know you've tested a couple times, but what you haven't really done is close with some momentum above 70. Correct. I think you close above 70 at towards the top end of the range. Shows you something about the buyer's thirst above 70. And so I think you got some legit analysis above 70 here. And I don't think you have to worry too much about 7106. A close towards the highs above 70 is good enough for me here.
That was the tail the day before earnings, right? There's not a lot of
that's
supply in the market,
and
right?
Craziness
there.
and
right.
Could be a tick. It just discount it. 70 is the number to me.
So yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's kind of about where I would have that one as well. Anything you'd like to add there, Tim?
No, I love the longer consolidation. I want to look at the retail stocks today. I know during our scouting report meeting, we will have a conversation about some retail companies, because as I was doing my scanning, several of them stood out to me. TJX is one of them. You have earnings here. And one thing you can kind of do, guys, obviously we set our charts up in Thinkorswim to give a little window over here so we can know that earnings aren't immediately coming up. But earnings are probably going to be mid-May. I bet we've got time here to do something here, Frank. To build a trade out.
Yeah, they're like late May, 26th of May is what I have for them. So yeah, there should be some time. May never break it, right? It's hard to break resistance. Sometimes we forget that, but it is anytime something's kind of knocking on the door of the top of a multi-month range, I think it's worth getting your eyeballs on it. All right, let's maybe do one more here. Let's go ahead. All right, one more. Let's go with Anthem, ANTM. We've just seen some outrageous upside movement in these healthcare plans lately. We've talked about it quite a bit. This would just be a little flaggy style off of that 9 EMA map. Basically, momentum trade in Anthem while the momentum is there. I mean, the whole space has been hot. Anthem has its earnings behind us, if I'm not mistaken. I would have liked a little, maybe one more candle, but I still might get that. It looks like we're maybe trying to do a little bit of a very, very shallow flag, momentum style into that 9 EMA.
Oh man, these healthcare plans have just been absolutely juggernauts.
They've been
in recent
monsters.
history, and has been really kind of carrying that sector. And it's why this sector has been doing so well. They've been literal juggernauts out there. So I am certainly not going to be the trader that is going to try to pick when that momentum ceases.
It's not a
It's a
good
fool's
bet, right?
game.
I mean, sooner or later it will, right? And it might be
guaranteed.
now.
It always
It
does.
might be now, but yeah, any time. And I thought they were probably the one that would have been the easiest to build something, at least as of today.
I got a question for the two of you though on this one.
Sure.
If it develops into a further retracement, do you like it less? Like if we don't
Yes.
hold the 9, we don't hold the old breakout,
Well,
but we come back to say like 365-ish down to this 20, would you like it less or would you like
I'm
it?
not a fan of high bases or flags that turn into really challenging bullish retracements.
I would agree. As it is right now, I mean, a lot of it would depend on how it looked when it got down there, right? But on its face to the question, yeah, I would like it a little bit less. You know, I want to see it hold high, you know, and come out of that flag as higher rather than lower.
Yeah, once you've solidified your opinion on what pattern it's going into, if it breaks into a different pattern, it always is difficult because the analysis failed at some point. And so again, if your read is a high base and all of a sudden it's not a high base, the beginning point of your analysis was flawed. It did not prove out. Now maybe that was one of many variables, but again, it did not prove out. And so instead of just chasing the same analysis that did not prove out, you probably are better going to find a different stock.
I agree. Hopefully the pattern just holds up, you know, but then it's not our job really to hope. I'll catch that word I use. We'll let the pattern tell us when to do something with it. But I see it, right?
And honestly, the only question, I know he's getting done here, but the only question I have for you, Frankie, is this. On the healthcare plans, do you want ANTM or do you want United Health? Because I like United Health's $400 breakout.
Ooh, that's tough. And they are going to go the same way.
They're going to trend together.
They are. I prefer ANTM, but I would have no objection to somebody preferring United. It would really be
sixes for me.
It would be. Right? It is. It would be the name, right? The psychology behind the 400 break. I mean,
that's it for me.
You're splitting
right
hairs,
there. Right? The name I actually like, and it's probably just because at Tackle Trading internally we call it Ant-Man.
We do. Yeah. I almost called
so
I just I might have called it that when we brought it up.
I kind of like Ant-Man. I could care less about the company. I just like the name. So no, for me, it's the $400 psychological high base breakout with the eye of the beholder on this one. But I like the trigger on United more than Ant-Man. But again, it's sixes.
I love healthcare right now. So
it's strong. Yeah, it's looking very interesting.
Awesome.